What's up, guys? I'm Celeste Williams, aka TheSwolefessor, Education on Health and Social Well-Being. Today is Sunday, June 11th. It's just one day after the last video you guys saw. You guys saw my training from yesterday, which was Saturday. And like I said, I'll take you guys through a full week of training so you can see what everything looks like. So on this day, it's still the same thing in terms of what the overall format is. We just made a few differences with the volume. So instead of having a 2-count single, have a 3-count single. I went ahead and started with 297 pounds just because, one, I'm on a fat pad and I know that everything's gonna feel lighter than what it actually is. So I decided to go with the weight that I felt like I would be using on a regular pad compared to like the Rogue Fat Pad. And so that way, next week when I increase weight from the 297, I won't feel super off as far as doing that. And then in regards to the back downs, you guys know that before we had a 4x3 on this day, I believe, a 4x3 or 4x4, but now we have a 4x5, just a little bit more volume because I'm eating more, I'm gonna be getting heavier so I can recover well from it. Since I did my 3x4 2-count with 265 pounds yesterday, and today, which is based upon a percent drop, today's back downs are RP based, so I just went with 5 kilos less, went with 115 kilos, 253 pounds for my 4x5 back down, about an RP 60 set, which felt really, really good. As far as the accessories, everything is pretty straightforward. It's still, we have the seated cable rows, weighted dips, like some type of single arm, lat focus row, and then curls, press downs, and face pulls. The big thing is instead of doing sets of 10, now we're doing sets of 12 on everything, except for weighted dips. We're gonna have a top set of 6 and then one back down set of 10. My goal with the weighted dips is just to get back in the 200s. My best set that I've done this year so far, before we pulled the dips out of the programming as we got close to meet, was back in February. I'll have it somewhere on screen, but it was 100 kilos, 220 pounds for a PR set of 4. That was fat. And I'm not in a rush to necessarily try to get back to that. It's like I have so much time just to build, and I'm just gonna get steady momentum, steady increase on everything week to week, be where I need to be RP-wise on everything, on the big 3, the accessories, and just let the programming do its thing and let the food do its thing. So yeah, let's get to these accessories. All right, what's up, guys? So, as you can see, we are back home in beautiful Fort Worth, Texas. And yesterday got crazy. So, long story short, our flight back here was supposed to take off at 6:30 Central Time, Texas time, right? And we were supposed to land around 8:30, 8:45. Simple, straightforward type of flight. Flight ended up leaving a little bit later. It left about an hour late, around 7:30 Central Time. And then, due to the fact that there was a storm going on over the DFW, we couldn't land at the airport. So they actually ended up having us fly to the Houston airport, which is about like an hour flight and about like a 5-hour drive. So we had to be there just on the plane waiting at the Houston airport for the weather to clear up. And then we flew back to DFW finally, but then once we landed, we had to wait for a gate to open up because a bunch of flights were delayed and were coming in and out. And then after we finally got off the plane, we ended up having to wait 2 hours for our bags. So we ended up not leaving, once we landed, not leaving the airport till about 3 in the morning, didn't get home till about 4 in the morning. Then after that, I still had to do what I need to do as far as respond to all messages I need to get back to for that day, getting blocks I need to get done for that day. And then I just had Amber go to sleep, and I was with Laura until she fell asleep at about like 5 in the morning. Then she woke up, and then I got to sleep for sure at 6 in the morning. So I didn't go to bed till about 7 in the morning. But the good news is I work for myself, so I didn't wake up till around like noon or so. So it was a lot, but I'm just happy to be back home. And honestly, it's one of these things where I'm so grateful for my folks, because when it first was happening and we were getting delayed and we were in Houston and stuff like that, I just reached out to my folks to let them know what's going on, just because my folks love, even though I'm a grown man, still love their son. And just kept them updated with what's going on, and just tell them, hey, y'all just pray for our peace, because that was the longest flight Laura's ever been on. Laura's great on planes when they're like 2 to 3 hours, but she's never been on a flight for like that long. It ended up being like a little over a 6-hour flight. But she was still great overall. But it's one of these things where, like, of course, you can get a little bit more fussy being confined that long, and it can be very frustrating for us as parents trying to like keep her good and make sure that we're not like causing more stress for the people around us on the plane and stuff like that. But I'm grateful to them because they just reminded me, like, hey, and it happens, and all that you do, give thanks to God. And that shift in mindset really did help me, because it's like it's gonna be a frustrating situation no matter what. But I'm like, it doesn't help if I let my stress overrule me and I'm just whining and complaining. So I just kept cool, kept calm, tried to engage with Laura as much as possible, tried to make sure that Amber was feeling good and stress free as much as possible, and just focused on gratitude, because it's like, okay, yeah, this sucks, but you know what? There's people who are in the same situation on this plane who, when they get home, have to go to work right after, because they have to get up at like 5 or 6 in the morning or whatever. Whereas I'm in a position, by the grace of God, to be working for myself, to where, hey, yeah, it sucks, I got to go home and get caught up on all this stuff. But it's like, no, it's a privilege. I need to go home and get caught up on all this stuff, not get behind, and then sleep in if I need to. So I'm really only sharing that just so you guys can just keep that perspective, right? There's always someone that has it worse. At the end of the day, you can't always control your circumstances, but you can always 100% control how you choose to respond to them. So yeah, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of Amber. I'm proud of Laura. I'm glad that we were able to get through that situation. Anyway, we're back home. You guys saw my weight this morning. That was the first time I've weighed myself since right after the meet, just because, once again, we were using Petri scale, and he left right after the meet. So this past week, I wasn't tracking because, like I said, we were in North Carolina. Like, it was kind of like a vacay week. My vacay week is actually the week going into the meet, so I was still working while we were over there. But just was letting myself enjoy myself, go eat, make sure I was at least getting my protein in and eating enough to where my weight wasn't crazy low. So 169.5 is great, because that's pretty much where I was before the cut. And usually whenever I do like a water cut or gut cut or something like that, it actually takes me a couple weeks, sometimes even a month, to kind of get my weight back to baseline, just because my appetite's not there. But this time around, my appetite was great. Like, it came back immediately. Like I said, the recomp was good, and my appetite stayed high. Like I said, I really do feel like from the force feeding I was having to do like the past year or so, that my baseline appetite is just in a better spot. So I'm really excited about that. We're 169.5, which means we pretty much have like 12 pounds to gain before we fill out 82.5. Gonna be doing it nice and steady. Seeking trying to gain, like half a pound to a pound every 4 weeks, trying to keep it, a nice, lean, steady bulk, so that when I get to at the top of that weight class, it's not the thing where it's like, oh, I hate how I look, I got to cut. Like, no, I'm just gonna like fill it out gradually and just let the strength come from, one, just not having to cut, and two, just sitting heavier over time. So I'm excited about that, and excited to see where things are at with that. I'm probably eventually going to get a DEXA gauge sometime this week or next week, just kind of see where everything's at, body fat wise and muscle wise at the start, and then do it again, periodically, like probably every 4 to 5 pounds gained or so. But yeah, with that being said, excited to train. Yesterday went great. Boys looking kind of crazy. I was looking at the clips. I was like, boys looking kind of crazy. The lighting in this gym, but no, it was a good time. It was a great time being able to be down there in North Carolina, see family, train with Dom, Kelly, Jamar. Just a really, really good time. As far as today, we have, you guys already know, Monday. So secondary squat, tertiary bench. So I'm going to take you guys through that and what we're doing as far as accessory stuff like that. I'll also be trying out this. The company Avancus sent these shoes, like what they are marketing as like the best powerlifting shoe ever, and I'm really excited to try it. David Wilson promoted this on his channel and has been kind of alluding to this shoe for a while, and it's something that I was very curious to try because you guys know, so I squat in flats, right? But I squat in the ones. And the reason why I do that is because squatting in like slippers or even like my elbows just doesn't feel great for me. Even though I feel really connected to the floor, it's not enough stability. And it does kind of change my position in the hole. I have a little bit more lower back flexion compared to the ones. Because even though they're a flat shoe, they're just a little bit more elevated by comparison. Like not like the way a heel is, but it's kind of like the closest you can get to like a flat that kind of replicates a heel in some aspects. That's the best way I kind of can put it. And then of course I bench in the Hyper Vs. For a long time I was benching and pulling the L runs, but the Hyper Vs were the only shoe I found that like beat out the L runs, which I talked about that in previous videos. And then I still deadlift in the L runs. My hope with this shoe is that I will be able to do all three lifts in it. I don't even need it to beat the Hyper Vs in terms of the bench press because I really don't think it will. I think it's very hard to beat just the material that the Hyper Vs have on the bottom in terms of like you can bench on any surface with them and you are stuck, you're not going anywhere. But if they're just good enough to where, okay, even if I use Hyper Vs on my primary day, I can bench one of these on every other day. Or if God forbid, let's say I forget my Hyper Vs, I can bench these, then I'm happy with that. I already know I'll be able to pull in them because they're a flat shoe. There's no reason I should be able to pull in them. But the big thing is going to be the squat. Can I squat in these comfortably? Because if so, it'll just be so nice not to have 2 or 3 different pairs of shoes for each lift. You can just have a one shoe for all. So we're gonna be trying these out today on squats and seeing how they feel. And give you my thoughts on that. I'm also going to be trying the new SBD knee sleeves today as well. I'm not going to give a whole big in-depth review on that just because I'm going to be saving that for another video where I once again just go over all 6 pairs of the knee sleeves and just kind of give an updated version of the other knee sleeve review video I did where I talk. So this I'm going to talk the ones I already did, but also the Titans, the SBDs, and give you guys my thoughts there. But I already know these aren't going to be as stiff as like the Titans stuff like that. I already know that from Ashton, Jamar, and other people that reviewed them, but that's okay because it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think these sleeves are going to be great for people like my client Michael C or like my boy Sean Noriega or my client B, where they want a sleeve that's a little bit better than like the old styles of sleeve, but not as stiff as what a lot of these new ones are. I think this will be a good in between, but we'll find that out today, and I'll give like some brief thoughts. But like I said, I'll save the full in-depth review for later. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it in terms of what I wanted to get you guys caught up on. Let's get on the Lone Star. I miss Lone Star. I miss my people. Let's get this workout done.
Hey, ever seen a Chevy with the butterfly door? Some things I had get like me. Hey, ever seen a Chevy with the beat like me? Hey, ever seen a Chevy with the beat like me? Hey, ever seen a Chevy with the butterfly door? Stunt is I had, put it in the air. Stunt is I had, put it in the air. Okay. Counting on my body, damn, the things just start to pop. Judge me how you judge me, take them bitches out the trap. Fuck them niggas, how them niggas looking up? You don't know love, you don't love me like my child. Lay your ass down, nigga get you fired up. Turn up every day, girl, it don't say that in the Bible. Can't give it up, cause you love the lifestyle. Okay, get this bitch, I got her to run. She a put you deep with no body, she hit her run. Louis Vuitton, not in the Bible, the white phone. So I go back and run, the way I be smelling it, holding my gun, she think I be very get run. She only think me in the whip, any real cosmetic, I'm from all of my bitches.
So, before we kind of get into a review of the equipment, I'm just glad that squats felt good today. Like, I was a little concerned with being on the plane for that long and not being able to move around much, because usually like super long drives or super long plane rides just don't feel great on my back. But honestly, I feel good. I didn't even feel like I traveled yesterday, which is really, really nice. And I know part of that probably is due to the fact that, you know, even though the official tracking started today, because I wasn't tracking last week. Last week was my first time taking a full week off of tracking in I don't know how long, but I was still eating a lot and eating really good. So probably just being heavier, better recovery, stuff like that. I did manage to make up my sleep last night despite going to bed really, really late. So yeah, things felt really good overall. In regards to equipment, I'll start with the SBD knee sleeves. Just like I said, I'm gonna do a more full in-depth review of all the sleeves later. But basically, it's exactly what I said. They aren't as stiff as the Titans or the A7s or anything like that, but they are definitely very tight and compressive and much, much better than what the old SBDs were. And even like the OG SBDs, which I think was like the best sleeve the SBD had, and I think the quality control went down, it feels even better than that, to be completely honest. So once again, I will say very quickly, if you're somebody where you don't like the really new stiff sleeves, but you want a new sleeve that's like tight and compressed and better than the older ones that are out, this is probably gonna be the move for you. The only issue that I think I have is that like they were tight and compressed, felt good, but after wearing them, after that top set and all the reps, it just felt really, really tight. And not to the point where it's like, oh, I can't feel my legs at all, but it felt really uncomfortable. But that's more due to the sizing. As I told you guys in the first NC review video, so I wear a medium in the A7s, I wear a small in the Insers, a small in the Titans, an extra small in the Stoics, because usually you can go down a size in the Stoics once you wear an SBDs, and I always wear an extra small in SBDs. So everyone that I've seen review the SBD so far has said whatever you wear in the original SBDs, you can wear in these new SBD sleeves. And I even hit up Jamar to ask him what size he wore, and that man can get on smalls. He says it takes work and it's hard, but he can get on smalls. Jamar's legs are huge, especially compared to mine. So I'm like, all right, if he can wear smalls, I should be able to rock extra smalls. And I was able to get them on and wear them, but it just felt so uncomfortable. So I ended up taking them off before I did my back down sixes, got my Titans on as much as I could because I was sweating so much I couldn't really get my Titans on as much. But that's where I could do the work. That's why the back down felt a little bit weird compared to the top set. But all in all, very happy with them. Now, as far as the shoes, the freaking, it's like you want to say Avancus, but the Avancus shoes, these are amazing. Like these, as far as squats, they feel really, really good. In terms of feeling the ground, it feels like I'm wearing slippers or one of the L-runs, but it feels like I have the weight and stability of the ones, like the Jordan 1s that I wear. And as you guys can see from all different angles, I'm not biasing really any type of flexion in the hole. I'm able to keep myself in that extended position because it just has that extra support and stability that I think allows me to do so I'm not like folding and giving in the hole. And it feels good. I can feel my big toe driving into the floor, feel my pinky toe, feel my heel. I feel very connected to the floor, but I have that stability. And they're not quite as heavy as the ones, which is nice too. So as far as squats, I'm very happy with them. We'll see how they feel for bench. I only have Larson press, but just from setting up, I'll have a good idea of how they compare to the Hyper Vs. And then I already, once again, I pull conventional. I can pull any type of flat. So I'll probably have no issue pulling in these, but very happy with them for squats. So I'll go ahead and say right now, just because I said I'm very particular with my flats, most of y'all won't have the issues that I have with the type of flats that I need. Like if you squat in flats, these are gonna be great. So I'm gonna go ahead and link David Wilson's Instagram and his YouTube video just reviewing the shoe very in-depthly. And go ahead and use his code if you wanna get you a pair. Help him out, make some money, save you some money. But yeah, I appreciate him just for the in-depth review, and then once again, appreciate Avancus for sending me a free pair, because that means a lot, and I love them, so yeah.
I need you, darling, to set me free. Come back, baby. Try me one more time. Oh, baby, I'm about to go out of my mind. drop what you want, cause nobody else can fuck with me. What a show off. Nigga, wrist for wrist, let's have a glow off. Wait for me.
Alright, so we just finished up Larson press. Quick overview, since the main purpose of these videos is kind of tell you guys what we're doing programming wise and why. So with squats, we have not changed anything. We found the formula for my secondary day this past prep, and we're keeping it. Always having a top set of 4 or 5 on my secondary day. I don't need to let it get as low as 3s because then the intensity gets a little bit too high. But let it get to be like a top set of 6 or more, the intensity is too low. Being in that 4 to 5 range allows me to load what I need to drive the stimulus needed into my primary day, and then of course keeping the back down 6s because we just found that I have a rep sensitivity to that on my secondary days where when it's 6s, it just keeps my squat feeling really good and in groove. So that's what we're doing as far as that. The one thing that I am changing is now that I'm going to start getting heavier again, you guys are going to probably eventually see me, instead of just making steady jumps weeks 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, you know, from week 1 to 2 will be a steady jump, probably just like 5 kilos, but then week 3, I'll probably start pushing that a little bit harder since I'm probably going to be able to recover better from it, just like what I was back in 2021 when I was getting heavier before. But we'll see how that pans out. With Larson press, same thing, just steady like 5 kilo jumps week 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3, because this day is never to be pushed super hard aggressively because I know it's never going to feel really good compared to the rest of my bench days. It just is what it is. I explained why a couple videos as far as that. But honestly, like, it's feeling really good today just from once again eating more, just feeling recovered. And the one thing we changed, instead of it being a top set of 5 then back down 5s, the top set of 6 and 2 back down sets of 6, just a little bit more volume because I can afford to recover from it. And you know, it's still like an 8 to 12% drop as far as the range for the percent drop. Usually I do like an 8% drop, but since we're doing 6 set of 5s, I did a 10% drop to start off. It just, you know, that still gave me like, you know, good little 2.5 kilos over what I did last week, since even though last week was finishing out week 3 of the block, it was kind of like a start point for where I am now. So I jumped up 5 kilos from last week for the top set and then 2.5 kilos with the 10% drop from last week's back down. So that all felt really good. As far as how bench feels in the advances, the fact of the matter is this. In terms of like, you know, the other slippers out there, like, you know, Notorious List, 100, even the L runs, all that, these feel great by comparison, in the sense of like they're just as good, if not better, than all those shoes for benching. You shouldn't have any issue. I know I only did like, you know, a couple, like, you know, just like 1 rep, but just from setting up and feeling the ground, like, you're going to be good to go, especially if you're on something like carpet. But they don't beat the Hyper Vs. I don't think anything can beat the Hyper Vs in terms of the bench press right now. Just the Hyper Vs, for what they're made for like, to stick to even like, you know, construction site surfaces and stuff like that. I just don't think you're gonna find a shoe that beats that. But as far as like, oh, a shoe that I can use like on my non-primary days, and if I don't feel like switching, these will be fine as far as that. And then, like I said, I'll give a full thoughts on pulls later. And then we'll see how these feel like with heavier lows on my next SBD day. But as of right now, I think for the vast majority of you watching, if you want a shoe that's good for all 3, especially if you already don't have the Hyper Vs, you don't plan on getting them, or you just don't like the way they look. Some of my clients are like that. They're like, oh, they may be good, but I don't like the way they look. Then these are probably gonna be fine if you like the way these look. So really happy with those overall. Next, as far as accessory work for this day hasn't changed. Leg press, leg extensions, leg curls. But sets to 10, we're not doing sets to 12. We're trying to grow. We're gonna push everything hard. Let's get in there and do it. All right, guys, so I'm extremely happy with the start point here. For reference, last block, like ending out the prep, where we finished for the heaviest loads on the leg press was we did 2 sets of 10 with 630 pounds, which is 7 plates each side. Then we went up to 8 plates each side, 720 pounds for the final set of 10, right? Today, we started our 3 sets of 12 off to start the block off with 630 pounds. So pretty much starting where we ended last block. Leg extensions, we finished off with 200 pounds for 3x10 last block, and this time we started with 185 pounds for 3x12. And then with the leg curls, we ended with 150 pounds for a 3x10 last block, and we started with 140 pounds today for a 3x12. So the baseline is already high, and that's with, mind you, tapering, where we didn't do a lot of accessory work that final week going into it, and the ones we did, we pulled back a lot. So for that to be the baseline is huge, and I know I'm only gonna get better over time. Like, I have 12 pounds to gain, and I'm going to get strong. And I already just feel better and feel bigger, more filled out, just from not restricting my food the way I was having to a little bit. I'm still eating a lot, like 3,800 calories, but not restricting myself for me in terms of just sitting back in the 170. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how things go. Like I said, I'm eventually going to get you guys caught up with like exactly where calories and macros are going to be. Take you guys through like an updated DEXA scan to see where everything's at as far as the body fat, the muscle mass, so that we can just keep track of everything. But I'm excited. Like, with gaining weight at about 0.5 to a pound every 3 to 4 weeks, it's gonna be nice and steady. I'm of course still gonna put some fat on with that, but I have no issue with that because look at me, it's not gonna hurt me, right? But yeah, this was a really, really good day. So far this week 1 is turning out really, really well. And I'm excited just to build that momentum. Like, it's one of these things where it's easy to get caught up on, like, oh, I hit 700 kg at 74 kg body weight, and it's gonna take me a while to get my total up to beat the dot. Like, no, I'm excited for the challenge, man. Like, I'm telling y'all, like I said in an Instagram caption when I posted like this dope edit that Mark made from the meet, I'll never forget that performance, but my goal next time on the platform is to make sure you all forget it, because I want to just absolutely destroy what I did in terms of total, despite the increase in body weight, and still beating my old dots and bringing Johnny back, which I will do. I'm excited for it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're going to leave a comment down below, you know what you did. If not, leave a comment down below, let me know what can be better. Like the video, share, subscribe, keep it simple, specific, scientific. I'll catch you guys later.